Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Recently I did an unboxing and review of the latest set of Dungeons & Dragons dice from Wizards of the Coast, the L'Oreal Silverhands Explorers Kit. And I thought it'd be sort of fun to do a little video comparing some of the official D&D dice sets that have been released over the course of at least the last few years. So I don't have a comprehensive set. There are certain ones that I'm missing, like the 3.5 dice that came out I don't have, or the I think there may have been a set for the initial launch of 4th edition. I don't have that one either. And I don't have the Waterdeep Dragon Heist dice set, but I still thought it'd be sort of fun to see how things have changed over the years. I also have some dice from some 5th edition box sets just to show how sort of they've changed as well. So overall, I think it'd just be a fun little video to do. So the first set that I want to show here is the 30th anniversary Dungeons & Dragons dice. This was released back in the days of 3rd edition, and this came out way back in 2004, so 16 years ago. But we have this nice large box here, and it did get a little crushed over time, unfortunately. That does happen, but still really cool to see what we have here, and I do love the artwork here. This was the Blackguard artwork that they had for the that they reused in the 3.5 DMG, because if you had the 3.0 DMG and you saw the Blackguard there, he sort of looked like this pudgy sort of, you know, I'm a villain, you have to take me seriously even though you can't sort of guy. But on the back here, it just has the red dragon, and it says, Dice, your fate is in your hands. Pick up your dice, grab your D&D player's handbook, and embark on daring adventures. This accessory for the Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game will help you decide your fate as you battle fearsome monsters, explore ancient ruins, and discover magnificent treasure. Contains a complete set of dice for the use in the Dungeons & Dragons game. Also comes with a cloth dice bag. Now, the interesting thing about this giant box is that it is almost completely empty. Because the dice bag takes up about that much space, and there were no papers, there was nothing else in there. It was literally just this, and you have this cloth pouch with the 3rd edition style Dungeons & Dragons logo. It is a cool little dice bag. The problem is that it ties from the side. It's not a drawstring, and even though I haven't used it that much, it's already started to fray a bit. But let's just take a look at the dice themselves. So you have sort of this multicolored set. These were the colors for the die that were used in things like their adventure game or the 3.5 base game. And the idea was to have them sort of be these different colors, was to help for beginners to identify which dice to pick up. Instead of saying, you know, use the D20, you would just say pick up the orange one and roll it. So we have our D20, our D12. Some sets had, I want to say some of the sets had like the numbers colored in black instead of white, but that's what we have here with this one. And then we have our two 10-sided dice, one for percentile. But what's interesting is that this one actually has the 10 as a 10. So there weren't a ton of things that use percentile in 3rd edition, so I think that's sort of why they did that. But it's just sort of interesting to see. You know, I'm honestly not used to seeing just a single D10 with the number 10 printed on. I'm always used to the 0. But there we have our there. Then we just have our blue D8, our 4 red D6, and our black D4. So this was the set that came out for the 30th anniversary back in 2004. So we're just going to set that aside. Alright, so up next, this is the Dungeons & Dragons Essential Dice Set. This came out in 2010, I believe, 2010, 2011. 2010, when the D&D Essentials line came out, which is a really underrated system in my opinion. But on the back of this one, it just simply says, got dice. Gather your dice and embark on the adventure of a lifetime. This accessory for the Dungeons & Dragons fantasy role-playing game and other D&D role-playing games will help you decide your fate as you fight heroic battles and overcome difficult challenges. Okay, not quite the exact same that was written on the back of the last set. Everyone who plays tabletop role-playing game needs a set of polyhedral dice to make attack rolls, skill checks, and saving throws. This product includes a dice bag and the dice sets. I guess I should also go over the prices as well. So the 30th anniversary had a retail price of $9.99 US, and $14.95 Canadian. This had $12.99 US, but still $14.99 Canadian. I want to say that this was probably around the time that the dollar was a lot closer to the US dollar, the Canadian US dollars. There was even a point where the Canadian dollar was slightly more than the US dollar. And I can't remember. I think it was around that time, though. So inside, we once again have a huge box with nothing in it. A lot of empty space, but we do have a dice bag, which does fill up a bit more of the box itself. But we'll just go ahead and set that aside. So this one has the 4th edition style logo on it, and actually has a nice drawstring dice bag. You can hold a couple other sets of dice in here as well. At one point, I was also storing the black set of dice that came with the Essentials starter set kit for 4th edition. Had those in here as well, but I've since put them back in with the box set. But the dice themselves, as you saw on the back, have this nice, they're all uniform color for starters, which for people who are more familiar with the dice and don't need the color coding to distinguish them, the uniform look is really, really nice, I have to say. And it's just a nice pattern overall. You sort of have this dark blue with this sort of metallic swirl pattern sort of going through it. And you have silver numbers for the dice. So we got our D20 here, and our D12. Now, 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons didn't use percentile at all. I shouldn't say at all. There might have been some charts that you might have used them in, but I still think that they were either not numbered or were like 1 through 20. I honestly can't remember, but we only have the 1D10, and once again, I'm pretty sure, that this has the number 10 on it. But it's not as confusing in a system that doesn't use percentile. And then we have our D8, our 4D6, and our D4. So again, just a nice looking set there, and a much improved version of the dice bag, because again, it's got that nice drawstring instead of trying to tie it up, and especially trying to tie it up from the side. Overall, a very, very much an improvement over the previous set that we have there. So I'm just going to move those off to the side. Alright, and then up next, we're going to jump up to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and the first official dice set that came out for the D&D 5e brand. There's only one set of dice for 5th edition that has come out so far that I don't own, and that probably won't be changing anytime soon. But the first one that came out was the Tomb of Annihilation dice set. So this came out back in 2017, so almost 3 years ago now, which is hard to believe. The retail price for this was $19.95 US and $25.95 Canadian. So a $10 jump from the 4th edition set for Canadians and a $7 jump for Americans. On the back of this one, it says, "Roll them bones. Traversing the jungles of Chult can be a harrowing experience, even without a death curse hanging over your head. Don't go without a good set of dice at your side." So a much smaller little marketing blurb here, but to sort of offset the drastic increase in the price is the fact that it comes in this really nice tin with the green devil face from the Tomb of Horrors put on there. So it's a very nice little collector's piece. The back also sort of nicely designed there as well. And inside, we have our dice. I'm not actually going to take them out of this one. I did do a full unboxing and review before. But here we have our D4, 4D6, our D8, D12, our 2d10, and then we have just the one d20 at this point in time. The biggest problem with this set was the fact that it had a different color for the 20-sided dice than it did the entire rest of the set, which is fine if there would have been 2d20, which in this is the exact same way that I felt all those years ago, so it's nice to see that nothing's changed, I guess. But it would have been nice to have a d20 that was sort of this darker, more olive-colored, green that we had before for all the other dice, and then you could have the one of a lighter color to use for advantage or disadvantage. But yeah, so overall, this is one of those things that it just didn't really do much for me. The design of the dice is also very plain. If they want to say it's like a jungle green to match the fact that you're traversing through Cholt, I guess that's okay, but there's a lot of colors that you would see in a jungle. So it would have been nice to have incorporated maybe some of that in there. It also has a very, I don't want to say chalky feel to them, but just a very different feel to all of the other dice. And overall, this was sort of where the disappointment began for me with the 5th edition dice sets. Because the very next set to be released was the Waterdeep Dragon Heist dice set. And it did have an extra d20, so they did have the 2d20 there. I want to say one was regular size and one was oversized. I'm pretty sure that the coloration was very similar to these ones here that we had. It also came with a life hit point tracker, which is okay, I guess, but the price was even higher than what we had for the Tomb of Annihilation dice. So I believe the retails for those were around $25 US and like $35 Canadian, and to me, it just wasn't worth it. So it was so unworth it that I never bothered picking it up. I did get the dice set that came out on the same date as that other one for Waterdeep Dragon Heist. The other problem was that the Waterdeep Dragon Heist dice set didn't come out with the adventure that it was named after. It came out alongside of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage adventure, which had very little connection to the Dragon Heist adventure, very, very tenuous at best. So it just was overall a really, really blown opportunity. But I didn't get these right away, but I did eventually pick up the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica dice set. I did find these at a bookstore in my area, and they were, I think they were regular price, but I had extra points, like I had so much off of purchase there, so I ended up using my points to knock some of the price off, because while this isn't worth $35, I think I had $10 off actually, so I think I only paid $25 for it, which is still up there a bit, but it's what I paid for the Tomb of Annihilation dice, so I already kind of set that precedent for myself. And I will say that I did really warm up to the Ravnica setting once I finally gave it a chance. So for me, it was one of those things that I kind of wanted to get this just to sort of make up for it, I guess, and complete that subset, because there were only 3 things put out for that campaign anyway, so just nice to have the whole collection of it, I guess. And then we just have the D&D and Magic the Gathering symbol there. Oh, right, the back. So this says, heed your guild. Life in the big city isn't always easy, as tensions between the guilds run high. The streets of Ravnica have never been more perilous. A good set of dice may just save your hide. And then the retail price, $24.95, $33.95 Canadian. But inside we have, and again it comes in a nice tin. Oh, just a little piece of tissue paper that I do keep in there. The one thing I will say about these dice is I actually really do like the way that they look. They sort of have, it's hard to tell, but they are actually transparent. It's sort of like an icy look to them, with the transparent, like clear sort of white body of the die, and then the blue numbers. Just looks really, really nice there. I'm not going to show every single die off, but here we have our D20. And again, it's really hard for the camera to pick up the fact that these are translucent, but looking at them in person, you can sort of see through them, especially like right around this part of the die here. You can sort of see it on the D20. I want to say they probably show up a little bit better maybe on the D6, but a very nice look to them. But the gimmick die that they have here is this massive D10, which has the 10 different guild logos on it. So if you are running an adventure that has a random element based off of which guild may be acting as sort of the antagonist, or which one might be the ally, it's kind of cool to have this dice to roll for. I don't know how much you're going to end up actually using it, but I do know that the adventure that comes in the campaign setting itself actually does have a situation where you could use this. So overall, it's something that I do feel like I probably overpaid. I'm not gonna lie and say that I think that this is absolutely 100% worth every penny that I spent on it. This was more of an impulse buy just to complete a set. And unfortunately, it still doesn't show much in the way of growth from what people were asking for when it came to their 5th edition dice set. So sort of a lateral move in terms of the quality here. But we finally did, just last year, we finally did get a vast improvement over the official dice sets that you could purchase. And that was the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus dice set. Dice and miscellany. I'm not going to open this one here, but I did do a complete unboxing and review video. I'll have a thing you can click on at the end of this video that will take you to that, as long as I don't forget to do that. But this was a very nice set of dice. Comes with a dice like a box that you can put everything in that is felt lined. Nope, and it says functions as 2 dice trays. That was something I had a question about in the last video that I did concerning the D&D dice set, so we do have that there. And one correction I do need to make from that video is I said that I felt that the numbers and the pattern on the dice sort of blended together, and I'm not looking at them now. I think I'm wrong. You do have sort of the red background of the dice, the red and black kind of pattern, but then you have the gold numbers, which do stand out more than I sort of recall them having done. So I just want to say that I was kind of I had misspoken when I had stated that in that other video. I think the numbers are actually perfectly readable. But the beautiful thing about this is not only does it come with the dice, the tray itself that you can use, but it also came with 20 double-sided cards, which had information that you could use for the Descent into Avernus story. There were descriptions of some of the different devils and demons that are part of the Blood War, some of the locations there. I think there was even the map of Avernus itself, I think. Yeah, there's a player-friendly fold-out map of Avernus, the first layer of the 9 Hells. So this was, actually, the interesting thing is that the price of this is the same price that they were charging for the Ravnica dice set and the Waterdeep Dragon Heist dice set at $24.95 US, $33.95 Canadian, but you got so much more. You have the nice box to carry them around in. You have the player aids. You have the visual aids. You have all like the map. You have so much stuff that was put into this, and it just was, in my opinion, sort of the beginning of Wizards of the Coast really moving in the right direction. And they continued that with their most recent set, which I already did a video for just a few days ago, so again, I'm not going to open this one up either, but this is L'Oreal Silverhand's Explorer's Kit, which was the one that sort of prompted me wanting to make this video in the first place. So we have, again, pretty much the same stuff. We have a D4, 4D6, a D8, 2D10, a D12, but 2D20, which this set also had. As you can see, there's one here, one there. The L'Oreal Silverhand's Explorer's Kit has these 2 oversized D20s, which have the ampersand logo on the 20, so a nice little bit of branding that is missing from all of these other sets. So it's really cool to see that. And yeah, so this has, you know, a lot of the same things conceptually that were in the Descent to Avernus set. First of all, it comes in a nice plastic case. I also like that, how, you know, it sort of looks on your shelf when you display it. And it comes with the 20 cards, which have NPCs and organizations, as well as points of interest. Like this one has like Waterdeep, Baldur's Gate, Candlekeep, Neverwinter, and Icewind Dale is locations that they give you a little bit of write-up on. And just that little bit of information is really, really handy to have, and something that you can sort of show to the players, as well as some NPCs, including two of my favorite, being Dritz de Werden and Jarlaxle Benair. So overall, these were a massive step in the right direction over what we had with the previous sets that came out the year before, and the first 5th edition dice set that we had come out. So Wizards of the Coast, heard the feedback. I think pretty much everyone was saying they want value for their money. If they're spending $30 on a dice set, they want something tangible beyond just the dice itself to justify that price. And with these sets, it really didn't quite work out properly, in my opinion. I just don't think that these ever really fully lived up to the values that or the amount of money that you had to spend to get them. But these dice sets have absolutely done that, and done it, very well done. Very nice packaging, very nice extras that they come with. So we do see sort of this progression where we had some, our early dice were kind of meh, they improved, and then they kind of dipped back down a little bit again. But now they have reached probably their greatest heights that we have seen since Wizards of the Coast really took over the D&D brand. I think we finally are getting into the nicest collections of dice and little bonus extras that they've ever put out. So those are the official dice sets that you can pick up and purchase off the store shelves. The Tomb of Annihilation and Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica are probably out of production, and the 3rd edition and 4th edition ones that I've shown they're older, but they're ones that you could have gone into a store and picked up. But before we finish this video, I thought it'd be fun to sort of do the same thing, but with their starter sets. So I've done videos showing other starter sets before. I'm not going to bring out the actual boxes, but going back to the 3rd edition days, with the adventure game and the basic game for 3.5, the dice that were included were very similar to what we had with the 3.0 30th anniversary dice set. So you had these multicolored dice where you had in the 3.0 set, we had the D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. With the 3.5 set, they did include the extra purple D10 for the percentile. I don't think you use percentile much in that starter set, but they did include it, so it was sort of nice to see there. And then with the 4th edition one, we just had a we had these dice again, but they were, for the Essentials kit, they were just all black, so just a flat matte color. And then when we get into 5th edition, we have the dice that came with the 5th edition starter set, and these are the exact dice from my very first starter set from all the way back in 2014. So these are the dice that came with it. See, they're very similar to the 4th edition dice. The pattern is very similar. It does look like the numbers are white instead of silver. That's sort of the biggest difference there. But you're back to the 6 dice here. So you have the D4, the D6, the D8, D12, D10, and D20. And when they released their Stranger Things Adventure set in 2019, this was the same kind of dice that they used. So it looked the exact same. I don't think there were any differences between the dice included in that starter set and the original 5th edition starter set. But then, around the time that we got into stuff like this Descent into Avernus dice set, Wizards of the Coast released the D&D Essentials kit for 5th edition. And it was a fantastic box set. One of the best things that they did is, include more than just the adventure, the rule booklet, the characters. It gave you a map, a double-sided map, and it gave you cards you could use for quests, magic items, things along those lines. It gave you a DM screen, and it gave you a really nice set of dice. So you had an 11 set of die here. So you have the D4, the 46 like normal, our D8, our 2D10, D12, and then we have 2 D20. And even though it's sort of just a flat single color, they are at least translucent and just adds a little bit of visual flair to them. So as far as the starter set dice go, very, very nice set there. And then finally, the most recent box set that Wizards of the Coast had put out was the Dungeons & Dragons versus Rick and Morty. And this was the dice set that was included here in that set as well. So it has like the Morty colors of the blue and the yellow. And again, it is an 11 die set with the D4, the D6s, D8, 2D10, D12, and our D20. The big upside of this one is that all these other dice sets are sealed. So once if you take them out of the package, then the package is basically useless. But with the Rick and Morty set, they actually included the little Ziploc bag. So you can, if you're someone like me who would rather just keep these like this, although I have a set that looks like this, as I showed earlier, and I have a set of translucent red already. But if you're someone like me who likes to keep the dice with the box set, having the Ziploc bag is, again, just another improvement. So the one thing I can say is that over the years, what we are seeing here is we are seeing improvements overall with the products that Wizards of the Coast has been putting out. So there is sort of this upside that we can see and we can appreciate. So overall, I have to say that I'm liking the direction that things are moving in, and I just thought this would be just a fun video to do, something to help pass the time, given everything that's going on these days. So let me know in the comments below what are some of the official dice sets that you've picked up for any role-playing game. It doesn't just have to be Dungeons & Dragons, it could be anything, anything and everything. And let me know what you think about the progression, if you sort of thought it was interesting to see sort of how they went from these rainbow colors to the patterns to dropping the the percentile die, to bring it back to finally getting our 2d20 and our 4d6 in a starter set, which is a huge step forward in my opinion. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Take care.